introduce to you Thibaut Rouzaud, who is with TAV. He's regional, correct me if I'm wrong, you're regional operations director at TAV, Operation Services, and his office is in Tyson's Corner. TAV is a Turkish company, and they're headquartered in Istanbul, Turkey. And I had the privilege a couple of months ago to go visit their headquarters in Istanbul. Wonderful trip, and we thank TAV for supporting that trip. It was wonderful. We asked Thibaut to come in and talk about their two lounges they manage at Dulles Airport, being the Capital One Lounge and the Turkish Lounge. They are excited to be at Dulles, but certainly they have their challenges. As we know, the good news at Dulles is that the passenger count continues to increase, and last year they broke their all-time annual record. And but that comes with challenges, and part of that is having the infrastructure necessary to serve the traveling public there at the airport. And so he's going to talk to us a little bit about that. So without any further ado, Thibaut, I'll turn the time over to you.
Thank you, Scott. So nice to meet everyone. So some of my team members are here today. So Mitch from my team, Kaldia and Frat. So we start the presentation, and you will see I have a slide about everyone's to introduce them. So everyone sees the presentation, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, just quickly, some slides about TAV, and at the end we'll discuss more about IAD. So TAV, as mentioned, Scott, we're headquartered in Turkey. We are operating 90 lounges in 20 countries today. So we have 6 lounges in Bermuda under our, 6 lounges in USA under our scope of work, and 2 lounges in Bermuda Island, which is also under our scope of work here under the US office. But we have other lounges in Chile, France, Germany, I mean, a lot in Europe and Turkey for sure. We welcome every year more than 10 million guests in our lounges. So we have different brands dedicated to different products. So we have the Prime Class brand, which is our airport hospitality product, where we do, we'll discuss again more about it, but where we do lounges, meet and greet, etc. We have Hello Sky, which is more air rooms, where you can sleep at airports. Lounge Me, which is an app that you can get on Apple or Android, where you can have access to 500 lounges worldwide. So not only TAV lounges, we have third-party lounges membership. TAV Passport, it's a membership program in Turkey. TAV Port and Montana, there are other very small brands. So what we do in TAV, mainly, it's a full experience in terms of hospitality. So from your hotel to your gate, or from your gate to your hotel. So you have access to transfer service, car park, car wash, valet, lounges, meet and greet, fast track, membership program to have discount prices at duty free, F&B, private room. So you have access to everything. I mean, it's what we try to do. It's not what we have in US, but in general, it's what we try to do for all the airports we manage and we are present, to have a full journey for the guest. So our main brand is Prime Class. We have 45 lounges in 19 countries of Prime Class. We are renewing this logo in few months, something more modern. But our Prime Class lounges are what we call common use lounges. So it means it's open to everyone. When you compare to banks lounges or airlines lounges, when it's very exclusive to their top tiers, etc. It's a premium lifestyle. So it's really open to everyone. It's nice, good drinks, good food, good ambience with music, etc. Either you are eligible through your memberships or your boarding pass and you can enter, or you can pay at the entrance of the lounge. So Prime Class is really our core business, but we don't operate only prime class lounges. As mentioned, Scott, we have airlines lounge and bank lounge at IAD, for example. So just some of our team members, and some of them are here on the call. So you have Frat, who is our senior business manager, is in charge of our operations nationwide. You have Mitch, who is our business manager and also key account manager for Capital One. And you have Kaldia, who is here, and I think you know her well. She's our Turkish Airlines launch manager. So we started operations in US in 2016. We opened our first launch, Turkish Airlines at IAD. And after we grew to New York, we moved to New York, we opened Air India lounge at JFK. We opened a prime class lounge at JFK. After this was in 2019. In 2021, we opened two lounges in Bermuda, two prime class lounges in Bermuda. And in November 2022, we opened a second prime class lounge at JFK. And after we started this partnership with Capital One, with an opening in September 2023 of their lounge at IAD, and with a second opening this year at JFK with Capital One. So in total, we have 4 prime class lounges and 4 partners lounges. But we are only on the East Coast for the moment. So as you can see, the launch business has been growing a lot. It's not only for TAV. So this is only for TAV America. So what we do in US. So as you can see, our number of guests when we started in 2016, well, let's say 2016 was not a full year, but 2017, we were approximately at 100,000 guests a year. And now, 7 years after, when you consider the COVID hit all of us very deeply, 7 years after, we just overpassed the 1.1 million guests last year. So there is a significant growth, exponential growth. The US market is booming. It was booming before COVID. It has been slow for 2-3 years, but now it's coming back and it's booming even stronger. So our revenue are for sure going on the same trends and the number of guests. So same thing that our revenue has been multiplied by almost, more than 5 in 7 years. For sure, we have more lounges and also our number of employees. So today we have a team, actually I didn't update for 2024, but it didn't change too much. But today we have a team of 185 employees with a big piece of that outsourced in our lounges, but we have a significant impact, I think, on the local community, etc., with our businesses. So mainly JFK and IAD. So maybe Mitch, if you want to take over from here.
Sure. Hi, everyone. So over this slide, we're looking at our customer satisfaction through Google rating and Priority Pass rating. At TAV, we take real honor in our customer satisfaction scores, and we really do monitor them pretty closely. As in today's day and age, with Google and everyone just looks up, best lounges at Dulles, best lounges at JFK, and so we take really great honor showing that on Google, at Capital One and Turkish are the top 2 out of the top 3 Google ratings at Dulles International Airport, with Capital One being a 4.3 star rating and Turkish being a 4.2 star rating. And then same thing within Priority Pass, Turkish Airlines is the second highest rating lounge in Dulles International, with a 4.3 rating on Priority Pass's website. And so in Turkish Airlines Lounge, as Thibaut mentioned, we opened this lounge in 2016. Some of the amenities that the guests get are prayer room, shower, a nice zen area in the back, and then as well a full complimentary buffet and bar. As mentioned in the previous slide, we do track our NPS score in-house with internal surveys. And through those surveys, we've reached an 85% NPS score in 2024. In last year, we welcomed 280,000 passengers to the lounge, and we're expecting a small increase of 285,000. We've seen that this is really the peak that we can hit because of the limited space that we have, and with the high travel times in the airport. As mentioned, some of the challenges because of the limited space, which causes overcrowding and long queues. We can see wait lists anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on the time of day it is, and especially during some of the Star Alliance flights, as Turkish Airlines is a Star Alliance partner. So we welcome all Star Alliance business class members into our lounge, as well as third-party memberships and as well. And then in the Capital One Lounge, we opened this lounge in the end of 2023 of September. Some of the amenities the guests get are semi-private work nooks, which are in the top right corner. Mother's room, where if they have an infant or need to bring their baby to a quiet place, they have a dedicated room for it. Complimentary small plate buffet and bar, and a complimentary grab and go area as well. In 2024, our NPS score was 93% through our internal surveys. And we welcomed 260,000 passengers in 2024. As mentioned, we opened it in September, so there was a ramp up period where we really didn't see our peak until towards the end of the year, where we had our highest month of traffic. So in 2025, we're expecting to welcome 320,000 passengers into the lounge. And as well, same challenges that we're seeing at Turkish, where we're limited to the space that we have, which causes overcrowding and long queues. During the summer months and holiday months, we do average about 1,300 passengers a day, where we're only open for about 15 hours a day. So we're almost at capacity for the entire time of our operations. And so, as mentioned, for both Turkish Airlines Lounge and Capital One Lounge, we see that the traffic is growing in the airport, which is great for the community and for the airport as well. But we do see, the operations taking a bit of a hit because we're not able to welcome all of the passengers, and we do want to, because it is a great perk for the passengers flying in and out of Dulles International Airport. So we do want to welcome as many as we can, but with the traffic going up, it's getting harder to, because of the limited space. So just wanted to show that our average wait time, because we do track it through a partnership with Waitwhile. We do have an average wait time about 42 minutes for both lounges, Turkish Airlines Lounge and Capital One Lounge.
And here, what I can add is mainly when the airports are when they see the traffic increasing, airports are building more and more spaces. As you can see, there are new terminals coming at IAD. But in these new terminals, especially MOA, they only plan, duty-free and F&B concessions, because that's the most profitable ones, let's say. So they are adding spaces for duty-free, adding spaces for F&B, but they completely forget the launch business. We are a little bit the fifth wheel of the car, and that's why, we wanted to talk to you today. Because I think that they need to plan spaces, additional spaces, or at least being able for us to extend our current spaces in order to digest all this increase of passengers. And we have some, for example, some market information about the launches in US that you can see. We just read them, but we put some articles. But the global airport launches market is projected to expand from 4.2 billion in 2024 to 9 billion in 2029. And the market size is estimated at 14 billion in 2025 and is expecting to reach 18 billion in 2030. So the launch business is really growing significantly. There is a huge demand, but we see, and especially at Washington, we see that the airport is not considering lounges in their growth, unfortunately. So it's something we want to make them aware of. We are looking at, for example, our both lounges, Washington and Capital One. We are looking to see how we can expand these lounges. There is a dead space next to Capital One that we are talking to MOA to try to take. We are willing to invest. This is totally a dead space as of today. But the MOA is a bit slow, and they are saying they may use this space for their master plan. The Turkish Airlines lounge is a little bit more complicated because you have restrooms on one side, offices downstairs, and a food concession on the other side. But potentially, I mean, it's things we can do. It's maybe to remove one food concession or to remove one office and to extend the lounge. So if you look, for example, at DCA, MOA built a brand new concourse. I mean, it was already 2 years ago, the American Airlines concourse. In this concourse, you will see, I mean, I don't know, there are maybe 7, 8 gates. I mean, certainly, Scott, you know better than me. But they built Hudson Market, Starbucks, F&B concessions, duty-free, I mean, travel retail store, but there is no lounge at all. So I think that's an issue, and it's that's why we wanted to talk to you today and to see how you can help us to make maybe MOA more aware about this necessity to have launch spaces at IAD. So that was it, Scott, in terms of presentation.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you very, very much for that. Just so everybody is aware, and we'll just, I'm going to hit can you hit the stop share?
Oh, yes, sorry. Up.
That's all right. There you go. First, Thibaut, if it'd be all right, could you forward me your slide deck?
Oh, yes, I will.
So I can share with everybody here. I met with Thibaut and Caldia and a few others over at their Tyson's office, and this is a huge concern of theirs, and they want to meet the demand that is there, and so they're trying to figure out how to expand their spaces, as he has mentioned. So I invited them here this morning on this platform to share with the committee their concerns, and I would hope perhaps even Keith, that there's an opportunity through the task force that perhaps you and I can maybe sit down with Richard and just kind of find out what we can do to help the lounges, because it seems to me if we're going to continue to grow our passengers, we need to grow the infrastructure to serve them, including the food and the lounge services out in the concourses. So
happy to do that, Scott.
Okay.
It is tough. It is tough. The competition with the lounges and the concession space, and then the hold rooms, you know, as it keeps getting bigger and keeps getting more congested. But you know, the lounges are definitely a plus. And when you look at the growth at, you know, 9 billion, you know, by 2029 investment, that's a revenue source for the airport. So that's good. Yeah.
So I'm curious about with your agreements with him when the lounges expand and do improvements. Is that all on your company's dime, or is there a combination of funds that come from MWA? And
no, it's on our company's. You know, it's our company's responsibility to invest on these refurbishments.
Okay. Any questions by anyone? Just unmute yourself and jump in.
Just few more information. Sorry, maybe before we start, to give you some more example. For example, Royal Jordanian is just signed with MOA to start operations in April. this year. Royal Jordanian is a company from Middle East flying to Jordan, Amman Airport. So it's a very luxury company. However, they have no space for lounge because they fly at 5 p.m., which is the peak time at the airport in terms of traffic. So fortunately, the airport is able to give them a gate at that time, but I have no idea where they will put their passengers, at least first class and business class. So even when you attract international airlines, it becomes a concern, not to have space. So they will certainly have to split their passengers between 2 or 3 lounges. But they contacted us to welcome them, and we just say there is no space, neither in Capital One nor in Turkish. So you cannot use our lounges, unfortunately. It's not, we don't want to work with you because we manage, as TAV, we manage Amman Airport in Jordan, actually. It's a coincidence, but there is no space for them. And the second point I wanted to share is also, I mean, which is good for the lounge business compared to duty-free, for example, even if we certainly pay less rent, or I don't know about their market share, but we are also employing a lot of people because the lounge needs, staff. When, sometimes duty-free or travel retail store, they have a big space, but they just have one staff at the cashier. Us, we need kitchen staff, we need a cleaner, we need floor, we need bartender. I would say even more than a restaurant, but similar, let's say, just not to say more. So it's also good, I think, for the community because we are helping the growth in terms of employment at the airport. So sorry, Anita, you wanted to ask a question, but I just wanted to give this two information before.
No,
All right.
that's
Thank
helpful.
you.
Thank you.
John, did you wanted to chime in?
Yeah, I just had some thoughts. I don't know if there's a question in here. I know Keith and I met with some individuals that were interested in expanding upgraded services. And apparently MWA already has a RFP out. They've got some folks, no idea what that is. I mean, we're on committee for Dulles. We should be all over this stuff, and we're not aware. And then I'm thinking of the master plan, and I'm not sure if you guys have been involved in the master plan because there's not the growth. There's all the different concourses. I'm just concerned overall, and there's nobody here necessarily from MWA, but it's always about the airport, right? It's about the business of it. It's not about the user experience. And Scott has made this point about driving on the campus. Start with driving on the campus. And what do you have and what do you experience? And this is the other ultimate end before you get on the airplane. And it's frustrating that, we have an opportunity, we can expand. So I guess those are my thoughts and frustrations and concerns. But maybe the one question is, how many employees do you have? What do you have? And I'm just thinking about the political end of this thing for jobs. What do you have at the airport and what do you have at Tyson's? What kind of workforce do you have in the region?
So we have, including our outsourced staff present in the lounge, we have 185 employees. We are in Tyson's Corner, we are 6, which I'm right, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, we are 6 in Tyson's Corner. So the headquarters of our company has 6 people, admin people. The rest are located at airports. After it's a split between GFK and IAD. But maybe Kaldia can give more information. For Turkish, we should have maybe 30 employees in Turkish and Mitch in Capital One.
Yeah, in Dulles International Airport, we have about 80 to 90 employees in the lounges.
In 2 lounges, yes. So
Yeah, that's awesome. And then you think about what you drive for business, right? Working the food services, pulling in those additional folks, and you create jobs and opportunities for folks beyond what you have and you employ, and that becomes pretty powerful. So
yeah, so let me give you an example. For example, Capital One, ask us to find a supplier for they are giving a gift to take away, which is a chocolate. And Capital One asked us to find a supplier, and we found the supplier here in Virginia. They're based in Chantilly. And actually, this supplier match with Capital One because actually they were already working with them at their headquarters in Tyson's Corner. And so this supplier is giving chocolates to IAD lounge, but after Capital One gave all their lounges to this supplier. And now this supplier had to move. He's still in Chantilly, I think, Mitch, but he had to move to a bigger facility because now it is increasing his production, like multiply maybe by 20, I'm not joking, to have this deal with Capital One. So yes, even when you think about this type of deals, it's not only employees here in our laundries, but we also try to work with the local community. We just signed a partnership for Turkish Airlines Lounge with Commonwealth of Joe. It's a coffee roaster company in Arlington. When before we were using a product from US, but not based from Virginia. So it's what we try to do as well. Yes.
Awesome. Hey, Keith, I'm just thinking, putting your old hat on. This isn't a matter of going to Richard and saying, "Hey, I got another problem for you. Put this on the corner of your desk." What are the things we could think through, and especially we're lucky to have you with us, to be thinking about how you might solve it, how you could work with who are the folks at the airport besides just telling Richard, we need help, we got a problem. How could we go about helping and thinking about solving the problem?
After Scott mentioned it, that's what I was trying to think of. And in my history and the competition between, as I said, the hold rooms, the clubs, the concessions, and you've got a number of varied interests there. I mean, it'd be nice if you picked out one belly button that you could hit, and Richard's sort of the one that pulls it all together. But you've got the revenue folks that are interested in how much revenue you're driving per square foot. And the clubs are extraordinarily good at delivering on that for space. You look at the concessions, and years and years and years ago, we went from, again, because of space, we decided on a strategy of just having the concession that delivered the food and let the passengers go into the hold rooms to eat, to double up that way. And, the thing is, you're really, 27 million passengers, and you've got a limited facility there to work from. You don't have the fingers in that, which makes it a challenge. So it's between real estate, it's between the design people, it's the concession people out there at Dulles. It's a number of them. But Richard is the one, like it or not, he's the head of the pyramid, and he's the one that you hit at first. But you were talking about the road system. And the master plan that they still have to brief the board and that, and we're all in the stakeholder, review of that process. You're exactly right. I mean, right there, you've got a terminal with 1,240 feet, and you've got to take care of, the 27 million passengers again, coming in and going out in that 1,240 feet. And that's sort of emblematic of what we've got at Dulles. The distance between 28 and the terminal. And the new master plan has a massive amount of interior road changes, but trying to make those decisions and make them clear for the public to exit and get to the areas they want to go, whether it's parking, remote or close. You've got a split there, rental cars, meet and greet, kiss and ride, arrivals, departures. That's going to be a real mess and a real challenge for a lot of time. I'm very Capital One located where they did when I first came there, the old Portals restaurant was a white tablecloth, really nice facility looking over the field. And it was a favorite place for all the kids going to prom. Used to go there every time for dinner. Of course, then as Stephen probably know, then they got in their cars and raced down the access highway at 100 miles an hour. But I was so happy to see that space filled. I know I wanted to move my office there for a long time, but still down by baggage one. Again, it's all based on revenue, John, all based on revenue.
Yeah, Keith, I'm thinking, because certainly these guys are worried about one problem, but that user experience, if you've spent all that time trying to get on campus, and we're talking about, for the most part, some VIP passengers, right? That have some influence. And so, you know, if they're frustrated just to get to the front door, you know, to get through security, and they finally get to the lounge, there's nothing you're going to do to make them happy, right? So, you know, in terms of us for Committee for Dulles and the task force, we can kind of look at that whole process and recognize, you know, this is a place where we need to spend some time. And
Well, I think you made the point, John. I mean, that's an advocacy thing that we can do.
Yeah.
And that's for sure. I mean, when I heard you talk about you know, a 45-minute wait to get into a club, the VIPs don't always come with 45 minutes. I mean, I remember so many of them screaming when they arrive at the departure time, you know, and they're supposed to get from the main terminal out to the gate, and it's all your fault because they arrived right at the departure time. So it's a real challenge, and you're providing a first-class service for people, and generally those people are paying the first-class tickets. You got your United Gold members, which this town's filled with, and they're showing up at the club saying, "Hey, I want in." It's a monumental challenge.
and what is it possible? You know, Keith, we didn't fly 747s. Those Gucci guys got the stairs that they give it upstairs. Is it possible to put in stairs to do an up on the top of the lounge?
I think, you know, design-wise, I'm sure it would be. I mean, the only thing, you got the sight lines from the tower that hit the ends of the concourse, but not the middle of the concourse. So, you know, the ramp tower would be the only obstruction there. But, you know, it's you know, clearly a possibility. I know they've gone down, you know, lower levels and done it that way out there. But you know,
I think if you stuck an engineer in there, you'd find every which way you could to put space in there.
we want an architect to go along with them, Scott. or it would look like the FBI building downtown.
Well, that's true, but if you send the architect, you definitely have to have the engineer, because the architect would dream up something that's just nearly impossible to get done.
That's correct.
Hey, you know, Keith, if you make it a project, you know, I'd rather figure out how to take action, but you know, you've got Doug on your task force that he's really out of the box thinker in terms of being an architect and looking at new ways of thinking about it. It might be worth having him just say, "Hey, what do you think?" or "How about some ideas?"
Well, exactly, and Michael and Thibaut can tell you. I mean, how many dollars per square foot the Capital One Club was, or the Turkish Club. I remember when they redid the British Club back when I was there as airport manager. I just couldn't believe the cost per square foot that they put into that facility. I mean, it's just it's crazy. I mean, you wouldn't on a business side. It's hard to see where you recoup all that money, you know, that you're dumping into it to make it the first class club that it is. But it's
But the use that they're getting, they've got to refresh that more often than they probably would. I mean, and then you end up with even more cost. But it's, you know, and then I'm just thinking about that picture with the people down the wall. You know, that's not a good, you know, view for other people. So if you're standing in line, you're not happy. But if you're watching it, you're like, I'm not going there. So we just, you know, something we need to take action on and think about how to help these guys out.
Especially when the customer is paying for the privilege.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's Michael, that's why the headquarters is down at Tyson's, right? They can't get to them. They can reach you.
Any other questions from any others? All right. Well, we have our mission here. We'll help you out where we can, Thibaut. And
thank you, Scott, and thank you, everyone.
And
go ahead.
I was just going to say, and we need to keep in conversation. And so we need to get back to you to at least explore some options as described earlier. But thank you very much, Thibaut, and your staff, Michael and Pirat and Kalia. Thank you all.